Good day, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Inquirer Show. It's Marcel Pertut with you on February 6th, 2021. We have a quick show for you that we're going to try to get in before the Super Bowl, and that'll be the main topic of our conversation. We'll break down the Kansas City Tampa contest and give a quick prediction on that. We'll also go into the Gridiron. Actually, that's the Gridiron Blitz. Then technical state of Georgia athletics. We will look at signing day and college football and how it's changed over the years, and we're able to get audio content from Georgia State head coach Shawn Elliott and his thoughts on the day and his signees. And then finally do the backdoor cut where we'll look at the NBA and things going on there and wrap up with the miscellaneous department and what's going on there. As always, follow everything that we're doing on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook with the Sports Inquirer. That's all one word. And just do a search on there and you'll be able to check out everything that we're doing. Subscribe to us also on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, as well as iTunes. And look us up on there, and you'll be able to check out all of our content that we have on there, from the Sports Inquirer Show, Verbal Submission, which is our mixed martial arts and professional wrestling podcast, and everything from there. So make sure you do a quick search on that, and you'll be able to get everything that we're doing. Looking at Super Bowl, past years I've been more excited about it, and I think it's for two reasons that this Super Bowl, well, three reasons that doesn't feel the same. One, off the field, the pandemic has really put a dent on the Super Bowl, because the reality is that it's not a normal Super Bowl week or 2 weeks in preparation for it. We don't have the people down there as far as the at the city of Tampa. We're not having all of the media festivities. I'm not a big partier, but we know all that the partying goes on. There's celebrities, all those activities take place, and that does build anticipation for the contest. We already know that the arena is not going to be completely full, or the stadium. I think they're about 25,000, which is about a quarter. Well, maybe not a quarter, but about 30% of capacity. So it's not going to feel like a full stadium and all the excitement, with that. So this week, I've really avoided a lot of Super Bowl content. And I do that anyway because you do get overkill with an analysis of the contest. And that's my second point of the over analysis. And my second reason for not being as excited about it as I normally would be is Tom Brady. Look, we all know that he is probably the greatest quarterback of all time. Some would say the greatest football player of all time. Now it's getting to the point where, yes, we're comparing him to other elite athletes in other sports. From Michael Jordan, we've seen that a whole bunch. And whatever other guy you want to put in there as far as all time athletes. And Jordan is a big comparison, or LeBron, because they are contemporaries. LeBron James playing at the same time. But man, there's only so much Brady you can take. It's his 10th time in the Super Bowl. We already know the story. We know about him being not the highly regarded quarterback out of Northern California as a prep player. I mean, he went to Michigan, but he had to do with Drew Henson, so we did that. He's 199th pick in the draft. We all know there. Drew Bledsoe got injured in New England, so he ended up becoming the starter, winning the Super Bowl, and now he's on going for his seventh championship. It's a little bit different because it's not the Patriots and Brady, so there's a little bit of a different spin to it. I'll give you that. But man, it's like there's only so many Brady stories I can hear about that, and every time you hear, and look, as I said, he is maybe the greatest player of all time in his sport, which is in the NFL, which is not no joke. That's a legitimate accolade. But I just don't want to hear so much about him, and just you get tired and weary of it. You're Brady'd out. Your Brady fatigue is a legitimate thing, and it ties into Kansas City as well a little bit. Now, they won the Super Bowl last year. You have Pat Mahomes, but that's also kind of a new story. We've heard the story all last year. What has changed really from last year to this year with Kansas City? We know about Andy Reid. He has we know all about his career. He has a championship. We know about Mahomes, how went to Texas Tech and was passed over by a few teams. And now he's turned into who he is. And once again, Mahomes, last year's Super Bowl MVP, arguably the MVP this year in the NFL. I mean, the guy, his first 3 years as a starter, no one has had a better start to their career. Regular season MVP, Super Bowl MVP, one world championship, possibly a second one coming up. That's as good as you can ever do of any quarterback in history of the league. But we heard all these things last year, so we're hearing it again this year. So it's like it's a repeat story, and they're going for a repeat, which is an interesting storyline. I'll give you that. But as far as preparation for the game, it's or anticipation for the contest, it's not too exciting. And then lastly, we've already seen this matchup, and it was pretty late in the season. I think it was week 11 or 12, and it was in the same building where Kansas City was able to defeat Tampa in the regular season. So all the intrigue of all the matchups and both teams have changed and made improvements or adjustments, some for the best, some for not so good. But we've already seen how are the Bucs going to defend Tyreek Hill, and we already saw him get 200 yards in the first quarter. If that happened in the Super Bowl, it'd be more, or anticipating that, it'd be more intriguing. How's Brady going to handle the Chiefs' defense? We already saw that. So all these storyline battles that you keep hearing about, we've already seen. Now I think Tampa's made improvements, especially on the defensive end. We saw what they did against Green Bay, especially that pass rush. I think that's better than when they faced Kansas City in the regular season. But you also Kansas City. They have continued to play at a high level since that game. They really haven't had too much of a dip. So that's why I think those three factors have really lessened your significance or the significance of this contest. Now it's still the Super Bowl. When kickoff takes place at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when we get through all the pregame festivities and all that bull crap, I'll be into the contest without question. I'll be watching every snap, every play, and really into it because once you get on the field, I gave all those prequels of why I'm not looking forward to the contest. That really is for the Super Bowl week. It's the preparation, the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl takes place. Once the game takes place, it's a fun matchup. Brady and Mahomes, two all-time quarterbacks. That's fun. You have Bruce Arians going for his first Super Bowl championship. He's a long time coach in the NFL and in college. He gets a chance to win a Super Bowl. That's big. You just look at and there are superstars on both teams. And so it's very fun, and I'm anticipating a very good contest. Who wins the contest? My Super Bowl pick from the beginning of the season was Kansas City and Seattle. The KC part was awesome. Seattle, not so much. And so that happens. So I'm going to stick with Kansas City. I picked them at the beginning of the year, and that's who I've rolled with. And I think they're going to still win the contest. I think that to beat Kansas City, you have to get to 30. Now, I think Tampa's best chance of winning the contest, the three offensive linemen being out for Kansas City, especially your two starting tackles, is a major concern. Remember, Eric Fisher with the Achilles injury, he's out. He suffered that injury in the AFC Championship game against Buffalo. That's not a good thing because with Shaq Barrett and Jace Pierre Paul, the edge rushers can get pressure on Mahomes. That's going to be very tough. Now, Mahomes is very elusive, but no quarterback likes pressure. And if you could rush with those four, including Sue, the interior lineman, and get to him, that can make Tampa give them a better chance to win. I think Tampa offensively, the running game has been very good for them. We obviously look at Brady and look at Mike Evans and Antonio Brown, all pros in their career. In fact, well, I know Antonio's been. I don't know if Evans has been an all pro, but he's obviously been a Pro Bowler and Godwin as well. So you look at those receivers and you think, wow, they're going to throw the ball a lot. They've with Rojo and with Leonard Fournette, I think Tampa's really added an element to their offense that's made them very strong. And if they can run the ball, control the clock, and if they're able to do that, obviously you want to throw the ball to the interior or the exterior with your receivers. But if they can run the ball with Jones and with Fournette, control the clock, get pressure on Mahomes, they can make it a very interesting contest. Technically, it's a road contest, but they are playing in their home stadium, so the comfort level is obviously there for that. There should be some wet weather. It's Florida. We know how that goes. It can be 80 and sunny 1 minute, and then thunderstorms for an hour or two the next. And then you go back to 60 degrees and muggy. It's just the way that is in Florida, and this is no exception to it. So I think the field may be a little bit wet, and that may cause a little bit of issue with the passing game. We'll see what happens. But I'm picking Kansas City to win the contest. Oh, we'll go with the score of, I'm doing this on the fly, 27-23. I think it's a really good contest. I think that the over may not be reached. I think it's in the 50s right now. But I would say The score is going to be in the low 50s if you're interested in that. Kansas City's favored by 3.5 or 3, depending on the book you're looking at. But I'm going to say they covered that technically, and Kansas City emerges with the victory. So looking very forward to the Super Bowl contest. All right, let's move on to the college football scene and technical state of Georgia athletics. And Georgia State had their signing day this past week, and they did sign one player, Cameron Dye, an offensive lineman from Milton High School out of Milton, Georgia, in Metro Atlanta. And they finalized their signing class with 18 people. They signed 14 high school prospects in December early signing period, and then added 3 mid-year transfers. They got quarterback Darren Granger from Furman, a Shamar McCollum, an outside linebacker from Wake Forest, and wide receiver Jasirius Creedle. He is from Central Florida. So they added those 3 transfers to their class. Here is Coach Shawn Elliott, head coach of Georgia State football, on the new transfers and what they add to the program.
Well, certainly the second signing date, so to speak. Not a whole lot of news coming out of this signing class or this signing date. With the addition of one young man, Cameron Dye from Milton High School. It's going to be a nice addition to our offensive line and that room with Coach Thomas Austin. Certainly looking forward to having him as part of Georgia State University. And being a local young man certainly is always good as well. Starting our off season, our strength and conditioning, we've had a few new faces come into our program. Darren Granger, of course, has come in as the quarterback position. Shamar McCullum is come in as a defensive end outside linebacker for us as well. And then Jakias Cradle, a big-time wide receiver, has come in as well. So we've added a few new faces to our roster to help us better prepare for this upcoming season, and looking forward to getting in the weight room and just seeing how our team develops and see what comes out of this spring practice. We have got some spring practice dates set, and we've got a spring game set. So we're looking forward to the upcoming events. Yeah, first of all, when you look at the from a depth standpoint, I think Darren Granger is probably the where it helps us immediately. Right there at the quarterback position. Just having a few guys here on scholarship at the quarterback position. We had a couple guys transfer out a couple of years back, and we weren't able to, or didn't want to add just any old guys to that particular room. But I think Granger gives us some experience. I mean, we've seen him play in person right here in our own stadium, and he was a magical player that night. So we're looking for great depth in that room now, and experience depth. The other guys, they've got playing experience. Certainly, when you look at Cradle, for example, I mean, goes to Central Florida, plays as a true freshman, big time talent. If you look at our receiving core and kind of see some of the sizes and the different skill sets that we have, he's going to fit in nicely there. Have a opportunity to help us really, really quickly. And then Shamar McCullum, an outside linebacker that plays with a great motor, defensive end type pass rusher, guy we know about really well out of Dillon High School in Dillon, South Carolina. He's going to come in and be able to put pressure on the quarterback immediately. And those are things that I think all three of these individuals give us it trends upwards when you talk about the position groups and just who they are and what type of players they are.
Georgia State also benefited from the return of 9 seniors, including Shamarius Gilmore, the 4-time All-Sun Belt offensive lineman, and Noel Ruiz, the senior place kicker who was also All-Conference. They returned 9 of those guys. Remember, the rule was that you get an extra year of eligibility with the COVID pandemic. So even guys who were seniors that were on the team this past year, they had the option to return for another campaign. So they necessarily still be, I guess, 5th-year seniors. But that was a large amount of players from a bowl team in Georgia State last year. Remember, they went to a bowl game and were able to win it. So this is a very good situation for Georgia State football. I was able to ask Coach Elliott directly about his returning seniors.
It's really, it's hard to really think about it because what a great senior class they were. And then to have the opportunity to come back with more experience, better leadership, and like I always say, to do something we've never done before is great. I think it's a testament to our team and our football program that they want to return for that extra year of eligibility, and do some things that we feel like we can do here. It's a good feeling. They're all great young men, and we're looking forward to having them back for another year.
We also learned from the presser with Coach Elliott that spring practice is scheduled to begin in March. And remember last year, they got maybe a handful of practices and sessions in before it was cut short due to the COVID pandemic. There's been a better handle of everything going on with the pandemic, obviously a year, well, about 10 months ago to now. So they're going to have spring practice and try to get that activity going. We were able to ask Coach Elliott what we can expect to see from the spring practices.
Spring practice will be approached just like it is every single year. I mean, we're going to go out there. We're going to have our 15 opportunities. We're going to have our 3 helmet days, and then we're going to roll and go and teach the fundamentals: tackling, blocking, catching, throwing. So we'll be the same.
A benefit from the spring practices and all the returning players is continuity. And we were able to speak with Coach Elliott about having a large amount of returnees to the roster and how that helps in their preparation.
It's really remarkable. It's a remarkable feeling when you have your entire coaching staff coming back, and basically you have your entire roster returning as well. We could go out there today and we could line up in scrimmage. I mean, that's something to be said. I mean, I think our coaching staff is very familiar with one another. Our players are very familiar with our coaching staff, and the communication between the two is fantastic. So, we could, for whatever reason, they give you that helmet day to go out there and start spring practice off with, and give you 2 of them for whatever reason. I think we could go out there and suit it up and probably get us about 150 scrimmage plays in right now and roll with it. That's just how comfortable I think our players are with our staff. Our staff is with our players, and just where we are as far as a scheme. Guarantee it. I would. If they would let us do this thing year round, we could take a lot of the strain of the beating of the pads and stuff. If they could just let us go out there in helmets, and man, we could really benefit from it and probably limit a lot of injuries. But they give you those 15 days and those 12 days of pads, and you feel like you got to go out there and beat. It doesn't have to be like that. We've got a really experienced group now. When we take the field in spring practice, to tell you the truth, it will be a lot less about the physical nature of the game of football and more about the true techniques and because these guys are very experienced. They know what it takes to be a physical football team, and blocking and tackling and everything that goes along with it. So our spring may look a little bit different, but you can do that when you have a seasoned bunch like we have.
And that was Coach Shawn Elliott from Georgia State football, recapping all of his signing day festivities. My thoughts on February signing day. I know that a lot of people look at the major programs in the Power Fives, and in particular at the Alabamas, Clemson's, Georgias, and Ohio State's, Notre Dame's, and those type of teams where they sign a large amount of their class in the February or the December period, and they only had maybe 2 or 3 signees for this upcoming one in February. And it's like, wow, this signing day should be eliminated, is useless. I completely disagree with that. I think that you need to have this signing period for players to be able to make better decisions, and for coaching staffs and colleges to make better decisions. You need both of those elements to work together. If you're a prospect and you're not comfortable with who you want to sign with in December, there should be time for you to make that decision in February. And furthermore, for coaches, if you want to have more time to evaluate a player, make sure the academics are good, make sure that you're really ready to sign them. It just gives you extra time to pick them up. Now, if you're a top, the ESPN 300s or the 24/7s or rivals, those 4 or 5 star recruits, most likely you already know your choice, or you may have a really good idea of where you're going to sign because you've been doing the recruiting process really since your freshman or sophomore year. It goes that far back into your high school career. By the time you get to the fall of your senior year, you're got a good chance of knowing where you want to sign. So for those guys, if they want to sign and schools want to offer those commitments, that's gravy. That's a good thing. But you also want to give everyone a fair chance to go as long as they can as far as making a decision. And then furthermore, And you do have some bad situations where I think Tennessee, new head coach with Heupel, rescinded a scholarship offer from a player that they had during the early period. That happens too. That's bad. That's bad PR for Tennessee, which can not use any more really bad PR over the past few years. But you add that all together, and for that player, if there was only that December signing period, and that was the only one that existed, he may be out of luck as far as finding another opportunity. And this is so he may have been released from his scholarship, offer may have been rescinded, but you have another signing period where other schools can give him an opportunity to play. So that's where you got to look at it from many angles. I think we look at things so much from the Power Five perspective, the ACC, SEC, at least here in the Southeast, and that's fair. But you have to look at it from a grander scale. You look at the Sun Belt teams, the Conference USA squads. Wherever you're listening, maybe you're a WAC or not the WAC, but I think the WAC is coming back actually. But that's another. I'm getting distracted. Like a Mountain West or maybe some of these other teams and other conferences that aren't Power Five and signing all their players in December. This is the February period, sign period, is very important for those programs. So I think that should be kept. All right, we're going to conclude the show with my NBA thoughts and the backdoor cut. Don't have an NBA All Star game. It's in Atlanta. It would be in Atlanta, which would be cool for Atlanta to have the All Star game, but it will not be the normal All Star game. It won't be all and the biggest thing with the All Star, the game itself, yes, is exciting on that Sunday night, but it's all the stuff that goes into it or before it. You have the rookie sophomore game or the Rising Stars game, I think they call it now. You have the dunk contest, 3-point contest, the horse challenge if they bring that back. You also have a lot of community service endeavors that take place in the city. Usually you have the state of the league with Adam Silver. He does that either game one, the NBA Finals, or the All Star game. They kind of switch it off here and there. You get to hear about a lot of stuff going on there. The All Star game, because a weekend of a lot of people gathering together, doing a lot of good things. This year's All Star game would not be that. You probably have players arriving literally the day before the game. It wouldn't be in State Farm Arena. It'd probably be on one of a smaller arena. And I think the NBA side thinks there's two reasons they want to do this. One, it's a moneymaker. If it's on TV, they can sell advertising, sell sponsorships. It's a moneymaker, even if it's a really scaled down version, which it would be of All Star Weekend or the All Star Game itself. So I mean, any dollars is better than no dollars. So we'll put it this way: if they make on a normal All Star game, they make $1 of money. This All Star game, they're only going to make maybe 25 cents, but that's is not $1, but it's better than the 20. But 25 cents is better than nothing. So it's a quarter of what they would normally make, but still they'd be bringing some money into the fold. So that's how they're looking at. That's number one. And then two, and I think this is a legitimate thing they're trying to do. If it's in Atlanta, it'd probably be at one of the HBCUs, whether I guess Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Spelman. They might have it on one of their courts. It'd be something towards HBCUs and community endeavors, and that's a good thing. I'm not mad at that, but just cut a check for now, and you could still have opportunities and all these charitable endeavors, but it's just not having the game. It's just not safe. It's not safe for the players. We already just had that with Kevin Durant last night against Toronto, the Brooklyn Nets forward. He couldn't play the game because he may have been in contact with someone who was COVID positive. Then he entered the contest in the first quarter. Then he was pulled in the fourth, and because he tested negative, there was a lot of confusion with if he was negative or positive and all this other stuff. And there's still a lot going on with that. That was just one guy, and obviously Kevin Durant's one of the most known players in the NBA, so that's obviously a example of being high profile. But you're going to bring all the high profile players from Durant to LeBron to James Harden and Giannis, all your top players in the league in one area, and it could become a super spreader event because all these guys are going to come into one city, interact with each other. It's a ball game, and then go back to their respective teams. That could be a very, very bad situation. And having it here in Atlanta is also not a good deal because state of Georgia, we're going through a lot right now with the COVID virus. It has spiked up in many parts of the state, including Atlanta. Cases are high, death tallies are going up. It's just all not a good situation to be taking place right now with an All Star game. And LeBron James made his statements and his thoughts on it. I think he should have. I mean, obviously he went public with it, and I think he's smart enough that he wouldn't just go public with it like this. Obviously, he has the bat line, the phone line to Adam Silver, to Roberts, the head of the NBA Players Association. He can make a phone call or a text or whatever, and just contact him directly and say we shouldn't have an All Star game. For him to go public with this, I have to believe he's done that already, and his opinion wasn't heard. And I mean, LeBron's he's one player, one of hundreds, but he's also probably the most powerful player in the league. So you have to look at that. And I know Chris Paul is the president of the Players Association, but LeBron James, he's the big man of the league as far as players, and maybe even more than Adam Silver. Well, I shouldn't say more, but they are very comparable in several ways with their issues. So you have to look at all that and put it together. It's a good idea, and I understand the intentions of it. Obviously, the economics, we went over all that, and I think there's a philanthropy side that they want to do as well. But just right now, the way things are going, not a smart move to have an all-star contest. So I would just postpone it for this year. Name an all-star team. Do all that. And if you want to do like the NFL with their Pro Bowl and have a celebration and some Zoom calls and speak to some of the players and give them some exposure, being named to the all-star team, whether it's your guys who've been there dozens of times like LeBron or maybe some first-time all-stars, I'm sure they'll be very excited to do some calls and promote their entity, their brand, which is themselves. All that together, you can do a nice little celebration of of an of recognizing the All Stars. But to have them all together and to actually play a game, I don't think it's a very good idea right now. Let's not get to Atlanta as well. Atlanta's going to want the full All Star treatment as far as all the festivities, as I mentioned earlier. And for the players just to arrive the day before, do a quick game, and go home, that's not really an all-star game, because all-stars games include all of the things that are going on, as I mentioned. So I think that's where they should just take a step back and postpone it and wait till the future. All right, that concludes today's show. Thanks for listening to our broadcast. You can also always head to our pages on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook with the Sports Inquirer. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. Search the Sports Inquirer, and you'll find out everything that we are doing. Until next time, good fight, good night, be safe.